Well, for parents stressing about the incoming school year, Councilmember Chris Cate is proposing a handful of solutions.
Among the Republicans' proposals are that California parents should get a child care tax credit and a stipend to pay for homeschool or distance learning costs. And here he is with us to speak more on this. Thanks for being here this morning, Councilmember. We really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
So your proposal is being praised by a lot of parents who don't feel like local leaders and even their own companies are taking into account the huge burden parents are facing, having their kids once again stay home with them. Who are you hoping takes action on this? The council, the districts? Who could do something about this?
We're hoping that policymakers at either the local level or the state level look at these options as potential solutions to figure out how to maneuver through the upcoming school year. Obviously, at the local level, any of our school district governing board members should hopefully look at this and consider these as options. These are things that we have heard loud and clear from parents over the last few weeks since the school district announced that they were going to online-only education. And as you mentioned, these are parents and families who are not only trying to figure out how to provide for their families through their jobs and their work, but now have to be given the burden of figuring out how to provide quality education to their kids, knowing full well that their experience with online learning in the spring didn't go over so well.
Mm-hmm. You know, your proposal points out homeschool parents are given thousands of dollars in tax dollars for educational expenses. Well, parents will be homeschooling, so you think parents doing distance learning should also get that financial help?
Absolutely. And what we try to do with our proposal is outline solutions for both in-person learning and for online learning. And if we are going to go to online learning, how can we make it better? And one of the things that's right off the bat we understand is that the ability to provide education for your kids at home comes at an exorbitant cost, whether that be through just internet or supplies, what have you, from a educational standpoint, but also for the fact that there are parents who may have to give up on hours of work to be able to be home. And that comes at a reduced earning potential for them. And meanwhile, they're having to pay for additional costs. So whether that's a stipend or some type of tax credit from the state that says we're going to be able to cover your costs that you spend to be able to educate your child, that will provide an exorbitant amount of relief for parents who have to start paying out of pocket now to be able to provide this type of education.
Yeah, it will be a financial strain, that's for sure. Tell us about the open-air classrooms you're proposing. We do have nice weather here, but one of my Twitter followers here points out he's married to a teacher. He messaged me to ask, how can dozens of kids be outside with no computers or whiteboards, moving all the supplies, dealing with the wind? Is this something you've taken into consideration?
I think we're only contained by our imagination, to be quite honest. I think there are a lot of companies who are doing this right now, who are looking outside, whether that's electrical equipment or internet access. I mean, we have Wi-Fi, so I think we're only contained by our imagination to be able to have classrooms outdoor. And we know that this isn't a new thing. I mean, the country did this in the lead up to World War II, try to relieve the impact of tuberculosis. This isn't anything new. We're not thinking outside the box here when it comes to this. I think this is something, at least in San Diego, where we have 261 good weather days a year, is something that we should be considering. And everyone who I talk to seems like this is a no-brainer, whether that's going into the shade, putting up canopies, Wi-Fi extenders. I mean, these are all things that we can do if we are imaginative about it and figure out a way to get to yes to do it. If this is really important for us to figure out solutions to have classes in person and allow for kids to not be left behind because of the loss of learning that they could experience.
I have your proposal here in hand, and this is kind of disturbing. You say since school closures in March, reports are that about 50% of students from low-income families didn't even log in once for distance learning. That's not good.
Yeah, that goes back to the concern I brought up about loss of learning. If you go back to Hurricane Katrina, one of the things that we know is that the learning loss that occurred after Hurricane Katrina, it took 2 years to recover from. And we do know that this digital divide and online learning does impact low-income neighborhoods the most. Whether that be for a lack of quality internet access, whether that be a lack of folks in the home to be able to provide that quality education supervision to their families or to their kids. These are all barriers to have a quality education. And that is something that is a huge concern for myself and others. And that's how are we going to be able to provide that quality education that does not leave anybody behind and move forward in a positive direction. So, that's something that I think the end goal should be to get into the classroom to be able to provide that education, that quality education to our kids. But if we can't do that for whatever reason, how can we best mitigate any learning loss that could come from that and having that distance learning? That's why I put in things like, having that type of individual in the classroom to assist the teacher. The teacher doesn't feel comfortable being in the classroom. Can we hire a college graduate and have the teacher Zoom into the classroom just so that the kids are coming together and congregating together and getting that experience and that ability to be with another child in that classroom setting.
Yeah, Councilmember Chris Cate, thanks for joining us this morning. Both Stella and I have tweeted out your proposal if parents are interested in looking further at it. Thanks again for your time. We're going to take a quick break.